Hi everyone, this is Greg, aka Gregoire, from Greg's Whiskey Guide, back again after Christmas and before the New Year. I'm continuing here the series started last time with Ballantines, face-to-face comparison, face-to-face between two bottlings, one old, one new or recent. These are not exploring necessarily rating questions and which one is better, etc., but how this has evolved over the years, the profile of the whiskey has evolved over the years, with of course the reservations that with the famous OBE, old bottle effect question, there can be some significant changes, improvements, or the contrary. So it's difficult to judge a bottle from this era, even if it seems like this one to have been preserved in decent conditions, let's say. So I'm going to introduce you very quickly the brand, because it's not the main thing in this series, and then I will nose them separately, and then taste them separately, and finally, before my conclusions, try it with a few drops of water. Right, just before introducing what is Chivas Regal brand, let me give you a sneak peek of other reviews coming in, as there has been one for Ballantine's Finest. There will be also Ballantine 17, old bottling. There will be of course Chivas 18, which is one of their most famous expression, if not the best one in my opinion so far. Also this very rare thing, very interesting blended malt from Chivas Regal. That's also an old release, a celebration release with 100 single malts in there. Yes, you heard well, 100 single malts and no grain whiskey. So a very special recipe to celebrate. So it wasn't, 100 years of Chivas Regal, and again a big thank you to Sandy Hyslop, the current master blender, who offered me the little book, and also some documentation about how it was being created, and also the total recipe. I mean the names of the single malts involved in there, as it's difficult. And when I bought the bottle in a bargain condition in a shop, it was not expensive, because there was no box and no leaflet, this one inside. So I'm very happy to have this informative. But for now, we're gonna compare two different I should have planned something bigger, but we'll try to let me see, maybe with the help of this. So this is, excuse me, this is so small here that I have to adapt things, So this is Chivas Regal 12 from 2015, and it is written behind on the back label, so I can be sure about it. And here is one from, I don't have the exact date, but my researches, books and different internet sources claim it should be a late 70s or very early 80s bottling. And you can see the shape of the bottle is slightly different. The glass nowadays is more thick, and there's a hole in it to help handle it. While in yesteryear you can see it's very flat and very thin. Also you can see the color is different. This one has either older whiskies or more charred content, which I doubt, or more caramel added, while this one is clearer. Sure, it has also caramel. Another very interesting thing, like in the Ballantine's one, and I have to show it separately, I'm sorry. So for this one, you know what it is, the most recent. Whoops, okay, no problem. It's paper, so it's not a big deal. Excuse me. I'm not a restart again. I don't want to restart again. So I was saying this is still pretty old-fashioned. Looks ancient, but basically 40 cl, 70 centiliters. You know that because it's a contemporary. Well, this one, let me show you. Again, like the Ballantine's, it has this famous D, if the lighting is not too, the famous D here that I suppose, because I don't have the exact meaning, so whether it is in French droit or digestif, so droit is the right for the excise, that means it has been paid, or D for digestif means it's the category of spirits and the regulations that are concerned by that. So it's an indirect way of saying it's in French a license 4 type, which is everything upper 18 degrees and spirit, so no fortified wine, stuff like that. So it's another regulation for bars, hotels, restaurants, and if you don't have this license, you are not allowed to sell for drink on location or to take alcohol, but mostly it's for location drink. And it is 75 cl, which is normally US, it's on the other side, amount, or an old amount based on wine quantities. 70 cl is the regular wine bottle amount of content. And this is a 43% ABV, while the other one is 40. So I know in some parts of the world you could still find a Chivas Regal today at 43%, but most of them we see, especially in Europe, are 40%. So very interesting. So I poured some of these earlier on, but yeah, I'm gonna keep this, and it's gonna be less dangerous because so this is the contemporary one and this is the old one. So just to let you know about the colors, which is on the bottle it's very different. Here it's almost the same, but I have a trouble with my lighting to make you see the difference. But yeah, so new and old. So now enough of showing dangerous things. And now we're gonna go into the testing. So yeah, no, before the tasting, quick presentation. So Chivas Regal, you will find a summary of what is the brand, the quick history of the brands, around 20 lines, let's say, on the description. So if you want to know more, but in order not to lose too much time into the tasting, I will just summarize this, saying that this brand, Chivas brand, started in 1801, and it became Chivas Regal because of the royal warrant in 1843. Founded by William Edward, a wine merchant who established then in Aberdeen. And often at that time there were grocery shops, not only wine or spirits merchants, and they were selling other spirits. Then I explain all the story, so but basically the brand really jumped up It was not sold as Chivas Regal at first, but Glen D in the 1870s. This 12 years old we have now was created in 1938. And I forgot to put it on the table, and the basis of this is this Strathisla. Let me show you a second, excuse me. Yeah, sorry for interruption. Strathisla, and this is the prior a few years ago rebranding. So this is interesting because you can see the distillery, which is very fancy, very beautiful, considered as one of the most beautiful of Scotland's, with an old mill, and the kilns, typical kilns, and all the flowers for the distillery, very nice looked after garden and stuff. So yeah, basically the blending company bought Strathisla and built Glenkeith to source more of the content, the key content for the blend Chivas Regal. So that's why I'm showing this. By the way, this is not the box of the old version. There was no box with it. It's just for so the Strathisla is the heart of this blend. You will find in the description all the other what's in the core range and some special brands. It's one of the 20 most selling blended whiskies in the world, even if Johnny Walker goes before it. But yeah, no more blah blah blah. Presentation, rambling and stuff. We're gonna go into the tasting. I'm gonna nose them first, and I'm gonna start with the last time I said the D sign here, according to my searches in books and websites and French excise texts, etc. It is for sure before it was bottled for sure before 1983, as well as the Ballantines I covered last time. Well, this one 2015, so we can expect around 35 years approximately of difference between the two, so it's interesting. Onto the nose of the older one. Okay, still some standard baked in the oven, cooked, baked apples and pears, which is one of the characteristics of the Chivas 12, and the candied fruits. But there's some kind of waxy, strange, not resinous, but yeah, between wax and rancio note, which might come from the OBE effect, as well as might come from older type of single malts, old style single malts, which I'm looking for, to be honest, in those old blends to recognize. So very appealing nose, very refined. If I compare it quickly, but I go back to it. This one seems more sanitized, more modern style. Yeah, there's some slight, not turpentine, but the solventy note that surprises me. I noticed that at first try. I did try it twice, in fact, only. Yeah, some solventy notes, also some a bit heady. Okay, yeah, I see. What's the name in English of it? Hydromel, it's in French. I have to check it out. I'm sorry again. Okay, sorry for interruption. The word I was searching for is mead or med. I don't know how you pronounce that. So it's basically some concentrated liquor or spirit made of honey. So yeah, this distinctive note. Now back more in depth with the new one, 2015, let's say. Yeah, I don't have this note, this mead note at all. Might have some slight honey notes, but that's all. Then the apples and pears, like I said, probably some raisins and some gentle grain as well, corn. Oh, forgot to mention the heart of this is the Strathclyde. Grain-wise, we have the Strathisla playing as the key single malt, but for the single grain it's Strathclyde. I don't have Strathclyde on board. And how do I know that? Because we were in 2005 or even it's on my reference pages on my website. I did a challenge, blind challenge, no problem, invited by a great bartender from France, Jérôme, and he invited me to a professional blind challenge. It was very impressive for Pernod Ricard, as he wanted to have a partner to help him blend and win the competition, and it was held by Colin Scott himself, the master blender at that time, who is now retired but still works with the company. Colin Scott did create this, by the way. And we had to recreate a version of the Chivas 12, a simplified one, of course, with around 6-7 samples, and one of them was the grain key, the Strathclyde. It was very interesting experience. Okay. So yeah, basic, good blend, decent blend of today with nothing really emerging from the surface, but it's the style, it's the Chivas Regal style. Contrarily to, for instance, Ballantyne's or Grant's or Famous Cruise, we're gonna go later on, or even Johnny Walker. The master blender didn't search for something standing out among the other flavors or aromas on the nose. Wanted sort of very melted, and in a certain way, to a certain extent for me, close to cognac, or to let's say standard blended whiskey. It's not necessarily meaning bad, but okay. Now onto the palate. And it's gonna be, again, I'm sorry, a long review because I have to do some digressions. That's also why you're watching my videos. I cannot do something in 2 minutes. Okay, here's the nose, here's the you don't write nothing, I don't search for nothing, no infos, no background, and give you a mark and that's it. And no, I can't do that, at least for this kind of series. Yeah, it seems richer. It seems richer, the old one. So now on the palate with no dilution. Slangeva. Okay. Unfortunately, there's some OB effect, and contrarily to the first times, doesn't evolve very positively, I have to say. The oxidation didn't give only mead on the nose, but let me try it again. Oh, okay, interesting. This shows, and I should do a special video only about that, the importance of chewing the liquid. You can make it oxygen like wine, like I did before, but you have also to chew it and take a decent amount of it. This is the only way you're gonna go through the details, the complexity of it. Because if you drink it too quickly or just sip it and not take the time to get into the texture, I know I'm not talking often, but I'm not the only one about the texture. I should. Yeah, this is going quick because it's chill filtered and low ABV. These legs are going quick as well, so it's the same viscosity wise. But yeah, fortunately this time with some air and also the oxygenation and the chewing on the palate, this goes back almost to normal. It's a guess. I haven't tried, haven't lived I have lived in the times where it was out at the first time, but I was not drinking alcohol at around 15 years old. Maybe wasn't allowed to, and it's not a bad thing. Yeah, for sure it needs some air, and I don't want to do a 50 minutes 40 minutes review, and I won't do it, but I see these kind of things, even if I poured it 10 minutes, a quarter before, or maybe more, probably you have to let it longer. But in my environment, I don't dare to do it too much because it's just a bit of heat now, and it's a bit drying air, so it's not necessarily the best to let it stay long. A last sip before trying the contemporary one, and both with water. Interesting oaky notes. What has almost gone, of course, is the spices over the years, and even if the bottle was sealed with the cork, a screw cap like the other one. But it's interesting. It resembles a bit more to the Grand Old Power than to the other Chivas, to be honest, for now. But it's interesting. It might also means that some older content, mind you, things that was common in the old days, and not much now. Supply and demand, always the same story. Okay, on to the 2015 version of it now. Much more silky, almost creamy, while the other one is drier. But at the same time, it's simpler profile. It's a bit more spicy on the end, right to the end. Very melted profile. A bit too much for me. And that's making it a bit frustrating, especially neat, to drink neat. So it's a blend I'm happy to have home, but I don't sip it a lot. And I tend to prefer the Chivas 18, but it's not the same price, so I drink it a bit less often, let's say, and it's more a sipper than a mix or cocktail to have on ice, the 18, while this one is, well, but it has a nice, let's say 25% flowers, if I may say, sorry, 25 or more oak tainted with corn, and the rest are baked fruits. But it's probably more grain and oak than the rest. But it's interesting. Okay, let's try it with a few drops of water each now. Not too much. 3, 4, 5. Voilà. Voilà, c'est fait, as we say in French. Now the older one. Yeah, forgot it's a branded glass for another. Let it dilute decently. It's good, it's very good, but it's different. There's some tiny bitter oak coming in now, even when it was neat, and some kind of coffee bean, some roasted coffee and chestnut, maybe. Something strangely reminding me of Sullivan's Cove Australian single malt, rare single malt. One of my bottles actually, from 10 years ago. Now it's too expensive. Interesting. Yeah, so the oak, the spices, more than earlier on. A great fusion of the flavors, but obviously less fruits. More, not really tannins, but more dry oak as well. And something, yeah, old grains as well, probably toasted grains. More heavily toasted than now. I don't know, it's strange. I would have expected the contrary, to be honest. Okay, now on to the 2015 with a few drops of water. And still Chivas 12, Chivas Regal 12. Yeah. Water brings back more vanilla, honey, something, yes, silky, creamy, but not as much as Dewar's 12, for instance. Some nice grain, very mellow, smooth. But and the oak and the spices are really on the background. But in some ways this has less personality than the earlier on one, the 80s one. So is there a winner there? I don't know, but I'm a bit nostalgic of the old profile. Well, I will be curious to say how it was when it was out, to see if there's some kind of degradation. And for my last sip, I own the bottle, so why not? I'm gonna mix the two and see what's going on, but I'm gonna do it off cam because it's already too long. There you have it, comparison between Chivas Regal 12 from 35 years ago, let's say, and from a few years ago. I hope you liked it. I hope it was interesting. And before I get to other topics, I may put in between a few other videos, but I will try to finish this face-to-face series. Next one will be Famous Cruise, which is a bestseller, almost one of the most bestseller, was a long time in UK as a blended whiskey. Famous Cruise, very old, even older than those two ones I started, so 50 years of difference probably. And last comparison will be Johnny Walker Red Label, also a big gap of age difference. And I will close the series, probably go back later on, not too late to talk to you about the 18, about Chivas, and of course a separate review for the 15 and separate review for this. I'm very intrigued to open blended malt Chivas. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to read the description because there's work behind it. Also to click the like button, etc., and also notification bell, and I don't say it often, share it with your friends on social media. There's a button for that, share, and I'll be back for more very soon. Thank you and have a nice day.